Can you see us? Can you see something? All right, well, so when do you want me to start talking? Okay. You want to stay on the line with me, or? Okay, good. All right. You're up. I'm going to talk in 2 minutes. Okay. So good afternoon. This is James Gordon with NBC 15 News. As you see here from our camera is we are at the north end of the runway at the Foley Municipal Airport. About 1:15, 1:20 this afternoon, we got the call that there was a plane down. We can see from what we're seeing at a distance here, it's a small airplane. Those are the airplanes that pretty much come and go here from the municipal airport in Foley. We've been told by the police department and the fire department that there were 2 occupants in this plane, and they described the crash as serious. We don't know exactly who those occupants are or their conditions, but they were telling us, yes, very serious accident with 2 people on board, 2 occupants on board the airplane. If you're looking at the fire trucks and the ambulances and the emergency vehicles, right to the right of it, you'll see tucked away by the trees and bushes, there is a wing and perhaps a propeller, and which pretty much identifies the type of aircraft it was. We don't have all the details. Again, this is just happened about 1:15, 1:20 this afternoon. It's right before 2 o'clock now. So these emergency responders have been on the scene for close to an hour. And it may take some time to find out exactly what happened and who the occupants are. We don't know if the aircraft was either taking off or taxiing or had just landed. But it being on the north side, it could have been doing a turnaround as well, depending on the wind conditions and other elements here at the airport. Again, this is the Foley Municipal Airport right off of Highway 59 and just west of downtown Foley. As you can see, first responders here, the Foley Fire Department, Foley Police Department, and other agencies trying to assess what happened here. A lot of small airplanes, small Cessnas and 2-seater airplanes take off this runway on a daily basis. A lot of them travel throughout the southeast. Those 2-seaters are pretty common to see here. We don't know if this was a 2-seater, but we do know it was a small aircraft. Again, 2 occupants, and we do not know the conditions. We do not know how it happened. But obviously, it is a scene, and we will be here for the duration throughout the afternoon until we find out more from the Foley Fire Department and the Foley Police Department. And we will pass that on to you as we learn more. Again, we're we're at the outside the gate, off the restricted area of the airport, so we're not in contact directly with any of the first responders. That's why I can't give you detailed information other than the fact that we did get confirmation from the fire department that it was a serious accident and that there were two occupants on board.
Any news on how new this is?
It happened about 1:15, 1:20.
Oh, no. I was just wondering because I see them flying over the house every day. So
Here?
so I wasn't sure. I was driving home and I'm like, I saw you guys. And I'm like,
Yeah. But you see them touching and going all the time? They're pretty much a small aircraft?
yeah, I guess what it is it's all they do is they take off, they fly a big circle. That's all
Yeah.
they do.
A lot of, I guess, lessons and things happen here.
All day.
Yeah.
It's not bad. You drowned it out like when you live
Yeah.
live on this side, but
Yeah.
I was always I didn't even know what you guys were looking at until I came up over the hill and I was like, oh, that's a plane.
Yeah.
So
We're broadcasting now through Facebook Live. So I mean, can I ask you one quick question? I mean, just you're standing here. You say they fly over here quite often,
yes.
and they do a turnaround basically.
Yeah, they just do touch and goes, I guess. I guess it's a training airport. So
Yeah, it's a training airport. There are some, I guess, smaller aircraft that do, flights throughout the southeast. Taking people back and forth. But it's usually the small seaters, those Cessnas. I don't know what type of aircraft this is.
No.
What they've told us is that there's two occupants and that it's serious, but they haven't gotten into too much detail.
I was also told that it was a Navy training. Not this flight, but they train the
They
Navy.
do train here. They do touch and goes. The Navy does, but this is not based on what I see here, it is not a Navy aircraft. Looks like a private.
Well, no, that's what
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody at Gulf Shores Airport, and they said that what they do is when the pilots get ready to before they even become a naval pilot, they send them here, and they get like 20 hours of flight training.
Yeah, it's possible.
In these small planes.
Okay,
so.
yes. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know all the details. We don't know if the occupants are military or anything. We just know that there's two occupants on board. So, yeah. Well, thank you.
Oh, thanks.
All right, appreciate it. Again, a lot of people who live in the area stopping by as well to just find out what's going on. I mean, they live just right across the street from the runway, and they see the first responders on the scene. I'm not sure what you're seeing exactly on the camera right now, but you can see officers approaching the aircraft. It's a lot of it is unknown, but again, it was described as serious and two occupants. If you're joining us again here on Facebook, this is James Gordon with NBC 15 News. We are on the north side at the end of the main runway at the Foley Municipal Airport. and we will probably be changing locations here. The fire chief tells me that he is about to speak to media on the scene, so we'll probably have to go to the other side of the airport. Again, if you're just joining us here on Facebook, this is James Gordon with NBC 15 News. The north side of the Foley Municipal Airport. You see the first responders, fire department, police department, ambulances. A small aircraft has gone down at the end of the runway here. All we know is that it's a serious accident and that there were 2 occupants on board. No details. This happened between 1:15, 1:20 this afternoon, and we've been on scene for about 20 minutes or so. The first responders have been here for at least an hour. Again, a lot of information just coming in, just happening. Things are fluid here. The fire chief says he will be talking to us shortly, so we should get more information on what happened here, all the details. Coming here. And if you're just joining us here on Facebook, you can see the first responders walking back and forth to the aircraft here at the Foley Municipal Airport. All we know right now is that there were 2 occupants on aboard this aircraft. From the distance here, it looks like a small 2-seater. Of course, that I don't have it confirmed, but we do know that there are a lot of touch and go maneuvers that are done here. Pretty much a training facility for local folks taking classes, and sometimes even military do some of their training here, get their flight hours in. Again, we don't have confirmation as to anything about those on board this aircraft. We just know there are 2 people on board. This happened about 1:15, 1:20 this afternoon, and they've described it to us via text and via messages as a serious accident. The Foley fire chief will be talking to us shortly. He is on his way to give us more details, more information. If you're just joining us here on Facebook, this is James Gordon with NBC 15 News. Just to recap, this happened about 1:15, 1:20 this afternoon. Small aircraft crashing at the north end of the runway here at the Foley Municipal Airport. 2 occupants described as a serious crash. No other details other than that. Fire department, police department, first responders have been here immediately after the crash for at least an hour now, assessing the damage, assessing what happened. We are going to hear shortly from the Foley Fire Department. They are on their way over here from the from the runway to talk to us, talk to members of the media, give us a briefing as to what happened, how it happened, and perhaps we'll learn more about the occupants of this small aircraft. We don't know how it happened, why it happened. It's a beautiful, sunny, clear day, not windy, no storms in the area. So if it was the weather, it would be difficult to say because it's a beautiful day for flying. If anybody knows anything about flying, this would probably be a perfect day to fly based on the conditions that we see and have right here, right now. We'll learn more from the fire department. Of course, like all of these investigations, the FAA, the National Transportation Safety Board, will have to investigate, and they will look into, if it was engine failure or anything else that may have caused this. Again, we don't know the conditions of the 2 occupants, but we will certainly find out in the next few minutes. Again, if you're joining us now here on Facebook, what you're seeing here is first responders, police department, fire department, and Foley at the Foley Municipal Airport responding to a plane crash on the north runway, the north side of the runway here at this municipal airport. This crash happened about 1:15, 1:20 this afternoon. We've been told by the fire department that there were 2 occupants on board the aircraft. We do not know their conditions. We do not know what caused this crash. Those are the type of things that will be investigated by federal officials with the FAA and the NTSB. But from what we can see here and what we know about this airport is there are a lot of training classes that take place at this airport. Touch and goes, some private, some with the military. This is not a military aircraft from what we can tell at a distance. It looks like a small 2-seater. Many of those airplanes are the ones that take off from this airport on a daily basis. The Foley Fire Department, the fire chief, has told us that he's on his way to give us more details, or detailed information on what may have caused this and who's involved. But again, have it about 1:15, 1:20, and these officers have been on scene. Within minutes they were here, and they're assessing the situation as we speak. If you're just joining us here on Facebook, this is James Gordon with NBC 15 News. What you're seeing here on your screen is a shot from the Foley Municipal Airport. We've been here reporting on what looks like a plane crash. Obviously, it's a small aircraft, 2-seater, from what we could tell here at a distance. 2 occupants on board. The fire chief tells us that it's a serious accident. Did not go into detail as to the condition or the cause. They have been on scene here for an hour now, assessing the crash site. As you can see, the plane is in several pieces and lying to screen right here. What we don't know, and there are a lot of unanswered questions, and one of them is, was this plane taxiing, taking off, landing? That we don't know. We do know that this airport is used for training exercises, and also for flight classes. We don't know what this airplane was being used for. We do know that private citizens take classes here. Some of the military folks get their flight hours by taking off and landing here in these aircraft as well. We don't know the details, but we will have more as the story develops. We are expecting the fire chief to talk to us shortly. We've been in contact with him. He is our point of contact, and he has told us that he will be giving us a briefing shortly. before we talk to the fire chief and let him know.
Okay, hey everyone, this is Michael Ward with Fox News. Just got to Foley Municipal Airport. What you're looking at right now is what I've been told is a bad plane crash with two occupants, one airlifted. We just got on scene here, so we're going to be moving the camera around a little bit to get some footage. You're seeing what I'm seeing right now. I'm behind the camera here. We just got word of this. Let's check the time. It's 2:07 p.m. Monday afternoon. We got word about.
This is James Gordon with NBC 15 News, and if you're just joining us here on Facebook, what you're looking at is first responders here at the Foley Municipal Airport, the north side of the runway, where a small aircraft has crashed. They've confirmed that there are two occupants on board. We do not know the conditions. We do not know the cause. This happened about 1:15, 1:20 this afternoon. We have seen fire trucks and first responders come and go. There seem to be fewer of them on the scene now. Don't know if that means good news or bad news for the occupants, but the fire chief is on his way to give us a briefing, and we hope to get more information. Again, this happened about 1:15, 1:20 this afternoon. All we've been told is that it is a serious accident and two occupants on board this aircraft. Just to describe what you see, again, it's at the north end of the runway. This is an airport where they have a lot of touch and goes, people taking flight classes, including sometimes military officials who get their flight hours in as well. We don't know if that's the case here. The fire chief is just getting here, so we'll have our briefing with him in just a minute. Stay close. Go. All right. Other than this,
Yeah. You have anything looking through your camera?
we don't have the best zoom in lens. I think they have a better one.
And we couldn't tell.
I think they have better cameras.
Arrive. We've made our adjustments. We apologize for the short video. We're still south.
If you're joining us on Facebook Live, this is James Gordon with NBC 15 News. For those of you who have been with us, you already know there's been a small plane crash, small aircraft, at the north end of the runway here at the Foley Municipal Airport. The first responders have been here within minutes after it happened. From what we can tell, 1:15, 1:20 this afternoon is probably when the plane went down. We don't know if it was taxiing, taking off, landing. It's been described to us by the fire department via text as a serious accident with 2 occupants, and we are awaiting a briefing with the Foley Fire Chief, Joey Darby, who just pulled up and is gathering his thoughts, his information, and will be talking to us shortly.
Just so you know, we're all up to Facebook Live.
Facebook Live.
All right, so just having to update the mayor and council who are all at the League of Municipalities meeting this week. So sure.
All right, can you maybe, yeah, right there.
Sure. So as you are obviously aware, we've had an aircraft incident here at the Foley Municipal Airport. The aircraft involved is a single-engine Piper aircraft. It's a 4-seater type aircraft. There were 2 occupants on board. It was a training aircraft, as we have a lot of here in Foley. It's one of the primary uses of this airport is for flight training. But it was a flight instructor and a student pilot that were doing some training maneuvers. So the crash did happen on the air, or next to the airfield, and is contained within the Foley airfield itself. Both occupants have suffered life-threatening injuries. One was airlifted direct from here to USA. The other was transported by ground, and that person is now being airlifted to USA as well. Again, they are both very critical, but they are still alive at this point, which is somewhat amazing. We were able to contain the aircraft. It was leaking fuel, and obviously was a hazard that we were able to contain. So no fire, no major fire at this point. The FAA was notified quickly, and they are already on site. They will be obviously making the calls with other agencies like the NTSB, and so they'll have to process the scene. So we'll be assisting and holding the scene until they're done with it at this point.
Can you have any idea what happened, or did they run off the runway? Were they airborne and landing?
I can say they were airborne. They were airborne at the time that the mishap happened. Other than that, it's pure speculation, and we're not going to do that.
Attempting to land, Chief?
That I don't know. As you may know, this being a training airport, there are oftentimes aircraft making maneuvers through the area, so it wouldn't be uncommon for them to be in maneuvering. So I'm not going to speculate whether they were landing or taking off. That'll be for the FAA to determine.
When I pulled up, there was another aircraft on the taxiway. Was it involved in any kind of way?
No other aircraft. The airport has been closed, although this is not a towered airport, so we could still have emergency traffic coming in, but as far as on-site, airport is closed and will remain closed until we're done with the scene.
The instructor and the student, are they private, or was, I know military sometimes just flight hours here?
They are private, so yes, you are correct. The Navy sends a lot of students over here to get their civilian training. This was a private.
Do you know or can you say if they're from this area or what area they're from?
At this point, I don't know. We've had some information gathering going on. I don't have that information at this point.
And both occupants male?
No, one male, one female.
And it looks like the plane actually may have rolled over? Or?
Yes, from the point of impact, the plane actually rolled down the hill, so it is twisted. It was quite an impact, and it is twisted in a couple different directions.
Was there a fire, Chief, or was it?
There was the start of a fire. It was contained very quickly. Certainly proud of the responders that got here quickly. They did exactly what they needed to do to secure the aircraft and try to start rendering care to those victims.
Difficult to get them out? What was that sort of rescue attempt like?
Yeah, so one was actually out of the aircraft at the time our rescuers got here. One was still somewhat entrapped in the aircraft. So as you can imagine, it's a tight space, and a lot of things have to happen.
Was there any kind of a distress message communicated prior to the landing?
Not that we're aware of. Not that we're aware of. We got notification that there was an actual crash. That was the first notification we got.
The person that was outside of the aircraft, were they thrown from the aircraft, or did they get out on their own power?
I don't know for sure at this point. I mean, the impact is such that either scenario is possible. There were a couple of folks that were here before we were here, because this is an active airport. So the staff that was here obviously was on site quickly.
So again, was it taxiing, landing, taking off?
No, this aircraft was in the air and came down and impacted. So again, just we'll try to update as we know more. I feel like the FAA will be the agency to release more detailed information. Of course, they'll have their own investigation. The good news is it is contained to the airfield, so we're not dealing with private property and certainly dangers to citizens and that kind of thing. So everything is contained, and just ask for your thoughts and prayers for all those involved.
Can you tell us, Chief, one more thing? At what hospital? Are they both at the same hospital, the occupants?
Yeah.
They both should now be USA University. So initially, the ground transport went to South Baldwin to seek immediate care. The other one initially was airlifted to USA. So.
And FAA is on scene at this
FAA,
point.
yes, is
What
on
is
scene.
this RV travel trailer? Is that FAA getting ready? The command
No,
center?
that's our Foley command post.
Okay.
So we'll be establishing a command post just to make it a little better for us to process and have an actual command center out
So
here.
I'm assuming that you believe that you'll be out here the
I
rest of the day?
I believe it'll be quite some time. So.
And the time when you got the call again was about, we've been saying 1:15, 1:20,
Yeah.
but I wanted to
I
make
can
sure.
I can give you an exact time. Let me do that for you. (12:48) was our time of dispatch.
That has to, you hear that go out over the radio. I mean, you just got to chill your blood.
Oh, sure. And business continues. We had a pretty major traffic accident right as we were getting units here. So, yeah, so we're still somewhat a small town and rapidly growing, but something like this stresses our resources. But really proud of the responders that handled this. It's not something we do every day, but unfortunately in the last 2-3 years, we've had our share of this. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
You've been listening to
All right, thank you. We'll be moving the camera, so just kind of stay with us here on Facebook. You just heard from Foley Fire Chief Joey Darby, kind of going into detail about what happened. And just to recap, it was a training exercise, an instructor and a student pilot. The occupants, a male and a female. We don't know which one was the instructor and who was the student here. As the chief just described, this aircraft was definitely in the air at the time. So it was on approach, and that is when this happened. Again, the conditions here are favorable for flying because it's a beautiful day, clear day. Winds are mild, weather's mild. So, weather is probably not a factor here. Of course, the FAA and the NTSB will look into that further. Both of the occupants are now at University Hospital in Mobile. One of them was airlifted from the airstrip here directly to University Hospital. The other one was taken via ambulance to the South Baldwin Regional, and then doctors assessed there that person needed better attention or more attention, put it that way, and they airlifted that occupant to University Hospital Mobile. So they're both there now. again, we will be here throughout the afternoon, gathering more information as the first responders have this now under control. It is contained to the airport, and if anything, if you have the time and a moment to just think about these two individuals, a man and a woman, who were on board this aircraft and are now at the hospital, hopefully being taken care of by some of the best doctors in the area. So our thoughts and prayers are with them and their families, and we will have more information and more details as the day progresses.
Life-threatening injuries right now at this time. And we kind of knew around 1 o'clock bad accident. Talking to police, texting with police. They just said it was a serious crash when we got out here. You guys see the scene. Because that plane came down and rolled over. You got a little bit of a closer look at it. The FAA arriving on make a report on what exactly caused this crash. But we'll have this video up on our Facebook Live. I know I will, prior to our 4 o'clock newscast for that information the fire chief gave us. But he said he expects to be out here all day. So look at the extended scenes. So here's the runway here at the airport. And like the chief said, really, in terms of the cause and exactly what happened, he said, really, anything he said would just sort of be speculation, because here's the runway, and he said that the plane was airborne and just sort of came down, rolled over and see how mangled it is. And one of the occupants was actually outside of the plane when rescue crews got here. The other one was sort of trapped in there, he said.